every could he wouldn't, love every won't he was, love every should he shouldn't, just because. Just because. Till Billy Goat Snoop.
I've worked on several revivals of classic musicals, some of which are sort of just adapted, basically, but some of which are sort of overhauled in a different way. For instance, when we did Kiss Me Kate, John Guare did some adaptations for the book. And when I did Pajama Game, Peter Ackerman did adaptations, and that was even more of a sort of revisal, because we sort of added some songs and reordered some songs and changed some characterizations of some of the characters. But this is the most intense, I think, new revival that I've worked on in terms of starting from scratch in a lot of ways, especially with the addition of all these new songs. So it feels like we're working on a new musical.
Absolutely.
In so many ways.
Absolutely.
And which is great. And this is the first time I've known Dick for a long time, but this is our first time working together, which has been really wonderful.
It really has been. And for me, I have, I developed Thoroughly Modern Millie for Broadway, and then I've developed some smaller projects here and there. And the director I've worked with most previous to this is a guy named Michael Mayer. And what's been very striking to me, rather than the dissimilarities between Kathleen and Michael, because you're different people and you have different sensibilities in some ways, has been the similarities. And to me, it's the sort of the hallmark of talent, and that the way in which you communicate might differ, the way in which you pace out when you address certain issues might be different, but the issues that you're focusing on and your willingness to sort of never say die in terms of, no matter how hard I've worked on a scene, to say this isn't working, or to be able to say, yesterday it felt like it was working, but as I listen to it more, there's a problem. If this is what you're trying to convey, you're taking a wrong turn here, and in a way that is candid, without any way being hurtful. It's something I try to learn as I get older, that the criticism is actually a sign that somebody believes in you, because if you don't think someone can do it, you see with it, you just stop saying anything because you're just wasting your breath. So it's been really, I think that it had a wonderful effect on the script, and I'm very grateful for it.
But I always feel like this process of doing a reading, it must be so hard for the writer, because they are the first ones to put themselves out there in that very sort of exposed way. I mean, it's their words, it's their work, and they put it out there, and then immediately other people are saying, I don't understand this, what does this mean, I don't get that, and you sort of feel like, and everybody else's work is yet to come, the actors, the director, the designers, everybody else, we'll get our criticism in due time, but the writer is the first one out of the gate, and the most exposed, and I sort of feel like that it must be a really difficult thing, because it's your baby, and and you're showing your baby to somebody, and then somebody's saying, I think your baby's kind of unattractive.
Why did you give that
Why
kind of ears?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Couldn't have had other eyes. Exactly.
But the other part of this process that's been wonderful has been our cast, because we have this wonderful cast that we're very lucky that Denver Theater Center brought our entire cast from New York, and led by Carrie O'Malley and Mark Kudish, and the actors have been wonderful in this process, because they are speaking up and sort of saying, can you help me with this, or I don't understand this,
right.
or I feel like I need something else to get to this next moment. And so I think they've been very helpful in influencing that.
Hugely. I mean, good actors, and those are the only ones we try to work with. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but they're a huge part of the collaborative process in a new play or a new musical, because they just, it has to make sense for them.
Right.
They have to have a clear thing they're pursuing and a clear obstacle in the way in order for them to act, to take action. And so, and you learn as you go on as a writer that when an actor says, I don't understand this, if you have to give them an 11-minute explanation, unless you're going to bring a big pie chart down during the performance, probably there's something wrong, with the writing, and you need to go away and look at it. And sometimes it's the tiniest little fix, and other times the scene is fundamentally flawed. You just have to look at it and try and figure it out.
And and the next most important element that we get to add here is the audience, which is sort of lovely. It's really lovely that we're going to be in front of an audience, but without being in front of critics,
right?
Which will allow us to sort of think if what we think is working is actually working. Because we may fall in love with something, but if the audience, if it doesn't register, if they don't get it, if they're not with it, then it kind of doesn't count in a way.
Right, that's right.
So we have to, so that's a wonderful thing that this process allows us to have a real audience.
That's right.
She's softer than